Good day, point spread aficionados. This is Winner's Circle. I guess we'd say Vegas Legends with the college edition for bowl games. This is the final weekend of December. I'm your host, Chip Chirimbes, and we have Scott Pritchard, one of the very top handicappers in all of Las Vegas, one of the most respected members of the handicapping crew right here at vegasworld.net. Scott, you're still alive in some of these big-time contests, are you not? You want to let the public know where you're standing right now?
Golden Nugget contest. Thank you for asking, Chip. You see, it seems when I don't do well, everyone wants to know, but when I'm world class and kicking ass, no one asks. So I appreciate the question. Yeah, right now, 2 weeks to go, 14 games, 7 games a week. It's college and pro point spreads, Golden Nugget contest. I'm still in second place and third place and tied for 18th. I have 3 entries. And for the Circa Invitational, 70% of the field has been cut, including some heavy hitters like Steve Fezzik, Chris Piper, who won Survivor, Tony Gordon, who took second last year, won Circa Millions, the Mad Russian Jeff Pett. All of these 5-star, rock star, superstar handicappers have been ousted. Right now, I'm in the top 6, 2 weeks to go, and I'll be on VSiN Friday night talking football handicapping. So yeah, so far so good, but a long way to go.
Always enjoyed that Friday night VSiN show when you were on, Paul Bovey's on. I've been on a few times myself as well. And great gambling information for everyone out there. It's on VSiN, V-S-I-N, and you can get it through radio each and every Friday. Actually, they're on 24-hour Sports Gambling Network. And happy to give them a great plug because I don't listen to anything else. Scott, I catch you on Friday nights there, and a great representative of gamblersworld.net right here, one of our cast and crew right here. And of course, we mentioned Paul Bovey, Jim Feist, Mark Lawrence, and a number of others. And you can catch them each and every day, hosted by Sean Higgs. He has his Winner's Circle show each and every day, complimentary winners from the top handicappers in the country, all gathered at gamblersworld.net. And I'm going to go to one of them right now. Again, Scott Pritchard. Scott, there's an interesting game out there right now. Both teams probably ended up very disappointed over the results of the entire season. Texas A&M and USC are going head-to-head, and A&M 8-4 on the year. USC a meager 6-6, although they've had some bright spots. Kind of disappointing for the Trojans.
Yeah, I like Texas A&M in this specific matchup. As you said, 8-4 taking on 6-6 for USC. Texas A&M, they lost to Texas by 10, 17-7. They also have lost 3 of their last 4 games. But the thing I like about Texas A&M, Chip, is the fact they have a top 30 defense. And this time of year, I love teams that play good, sound defense. USC, they lost to Notre Dame by 14 points, 49-35. In my opinion, they have pretty much of a depleted roster at this point. I do like their quarterback, former UNLV quarterback, averaging 280 yards passing per game, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but I said depleted roster. They're without 2 of their top 3 receivers. This line open, Chip, Texas A&M -1 has been bet up to 3.5, and with good reason. I like the Aggies.
Well, the Southern Cal team, like you said, got beat by 14 by Notre Dame. They're in that game to the very end. 2 pick sixes going back 100 yards, a pair of them in the last couple of minutes was the difference there. And the other 5 games that they lost were all 1-score games. So the Trojans have been very competitive. I could see them possibly keeping this close because of their passing game and the quarterback, like you said, came from UNLV. A really tough call here because of the disappointing seasons both these teams have had. So Scott, of course, is leaning toward A&M, and I think he actually likes that side. Do you not, Scott? I mean, would you consider it a play?
I do. Yeah, I bet Texas A&M -2 early, but 3.5. Again, as I say, it opened 1. It's been bet up to 3.5. The sharps, the wise guys, the unfair advantage players like you and me tend to bet numbers and value more than we bet teams. But like I said, you brought up some great points, Chip, in regards to the Trojans, the fact that they've been competitive, but this is a depleted roster. 2 of their top 3 receivers out. So I like A&M because of their top 30 defense.
If it gets to 4 or better, which it could possibly, if the money gravitates that way, would you buy back any of this lay-in 2 and take 4.5?
I never buy half a points because as a sharp, I will only lay the -110 because I have 14 different outs to bet. So mathematically, it's the same if you're going to lay extra juice at +4 or laying -110 at -2. I just generally try to get a very competitive number, and I'll take my chances.
All right, Scott. I mean, by the way, everyone out there, you're getting the inside analysis from one of the sharpest minds in Las Vegas and one of the sharpest sports bettors on the planet right now. Scott Pritchard here with us. Scott, great game. Iowa State and Miami going head to head. And the reason why I say it's a great game, both these teams come in losers. Both these teams come in major disappointing losses in conference champ. I mean, Miami blows a 21-0 lead to Syracuse. Iowa State gets waylaid by Arizona State, something they hadn't expected, although we did have the winner in that contest. Iowa State comes up as the favorite here. I mean, Miami's the favorite here. It's open small, and I think it's moved even stronger. Like you said, there's been some money coming. Has it come on the Hurricanes?
Well, when I look at this game, you look at both of these teams have great offenses, but Miami has no defense whatsoever. And when you look at the passing game for the Cyclones out of Ames, Iowa, the Iowa State Cyclones, they have not one, but two wide receivers, Chip, with over 1,000 yards receiving. So I like the Cyclones +4, but I also like the total. I like the over, Red Rover, over the points. I mean, these two teams both will put up points. And like I said, Miami's defense is pretty pathetic.
Scott, I see a total at 55.5. Is that what you have it at, or have you got an updated number on that?
I played 54.5, but yeah, 55.5. It's not 55. If it falls 55, that's not good, but I still see the game flying over the 55.5.
All right. You know, Miami 10-2 in the year, like I mentioned, that Syracuse game. You know, they went over 8-3-1 on the year. Iowa State went over 7-6. So you have those two trends working in your favor to your back. Do you know at the end of the year that Miami ended up with the number one total offense yards game per game? I mean, with 538 yards, and in spite of losing that game, and number one in average points per game at 44.2. Kind of surprising numbers to see there with all the other offensive firepower we saw during the year, and for the way Miami closed the season losing, to see these numbers come up. I mean, they must have really blown that game against Syracuse a major proportion, Scott. 21-0 lead. You know, they probably would have got a bye in the first round as opposed to either Boise State or who was the other one that got the bye? Arizona State. All right, now, Scott, by the way, everyone out there should be pushing the like button and share this with all of your friends and let them know you're out here. You've got the sharpest Las Vegas information coming to you, inside information, actually not inside from the player's perspective, inside what we've got up here. Okay, BYU, Colorado are going head to head. This is a really interesting one, Sean. 54.5 is the total. Colorado's been bet up to a 4-point favorite, 3.5 in some places. Colorado's had an incredible year after their 4-8 debut by Sanders last year. Many still expected them to be bottom rung, and yet he's proven them wrong with his Heisman Trophy winner Hunter and his quarterback's son, Shakur, I believe is how you pronounce it. Not really sure about that, Sean, but I'm sure about his talent level.
Yeah, I can tell you this is going to be an interesting matchup because the good news for the Cougars of BYU, they have no top players that have opted out of this contest. And the thing, it's contrasting styles, these two teams. The fact that Colorado averages about 330 yards passing per game, you compare that with the BYU running game, they average 160 yards on the ground per game. I like BYU's defense in this matchup. And the fact that Colorado, they only average 70 yards per contest on the ground. And I've said, if you can't run, you can't win. Conversely, if you stop the run, you generally fare pretty well. I've also said when it comes to professional sports betting, Chipper, that you want to ultimately be on the move early. Colorado minus the 2.5 or against it late. I'm against the move. I like BYU spelled just the way it sounds, plus the 4. See the cashier.
No, I think you're right about this, Sean. The line, BYU built their they got off a great start, right? I mean, totally unexpected. They ambushed a lot of people, and they do have the number 20 defense, which was very opportunistic early in the season. They just took advantage of interception, fumbles, block punts, missed kicks, and I think they started out 7-0, was it, Sean, or somewhere around there? But still a excellent point spread team at 8-4 on the year, and I think the odds makers and the bettors caught up with them a little bit toward the end of the season. They got beat by Arizona State and Colorado at 9-3. Bookmakers and I guess the public had their way with that team. Scott, they were 9-3 against the number, and I remember just about every week people still betting Colorado, and they just kept on winning.
Interesting you say that, because you do not want to ever bet on a trend to end. The thing that I like about this game, both of these teams light up the scoreboard. Both of these teams average over 30 points per contest. But give me the better running game with BYU. Give me the better defensive team with BYU. And the fact that their top players have not opted out, I think points mean more than opinions. +4, I see some value, even though all the money at this point has come in on Colorado.
All right. Before we get to getting past this weekend, is there anything else out there that's on the board that we didn't mention? I mean, there's plenty of games that we haven't talked about: Connecticut, North Carolina, Boston College, Nebraska. There's some other ones as well. Is there anything else you see out there that we haven't mentioned here?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Boston College taking on Nebraska. You've got 7-5 BC taking on 6-6 Nebraska. And, Nebraska has not won a bowl game since, I believe, 9 years ago, 2015. They started out like a house on fire, 5-1, and they did most recently beat Wisconsin 44-25 to become bowl eligible to get in. But I think in this contest, I like Nebraska minus the points, -3 and a hook. Dr. Hook is in the house.
The doctor's in the house, but this game is being played at Yankee Stadium. And I remember a number of times this game, which is early in the morning, I think noon Eastern, 9 in Las Vegas, being, say, wayward conditions. I mean, it was sloppy, snow. It's New York. And right now I know it's been very cold in New York. And, the players would rather play in the cold than in the wind, that's for sure. And in the wind negates everything. All right, Scott, I happen to think that East Carolina, my side that we haven't talked about, East Carolina is going to give NC State all they can handle. Scott, I watched this North Carolina State team all year, and I can't tell you I was anything other than disappointed with them. And this is a Carolina rivalry type game, so I think the Pirates may be able to play with them. You have any thoughts on the game at all?
Yes, I do. I don't have an opinion on the game until right now. When Chip Chirimbes speaks, I listen. So if you like East Carolina, I like East Carolina.
Well, isn't that special? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Listen, we're going to be back on Monday. Scott, myself, and possibly Paul, and even Jim Feist, we may be able to put this whole thing together and give you our opinions and our analysis and breakdowns of the big 4 games on New Year's Day. And we're talking about all the championship games that are going to be left. I think there's really a lot of fodder and a lot of things to be talking about, Scott, when we get there. Talk about teams getting buys and winning conference championships, which really don't belong in the seeding where they are placed. I mean, do you think Boise State's the number 2, number 3 team in the country? I don't quite think so, Sean. I mean, Sean, there you go. I wasn't going to get away with it one whole show without calling you Sean. And I'm going to have to yell at him for that. He's going to have to make a name change, I think, there. Anyway, Scott Pritchard. Scott, what do you got? Anything big going this week that you want to be able to let them know you're going to hang up there on the site?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a lot of NFL action this coming weekend. And again, I'm honed in and zeroed in on the contest for the Nugget as well as the Cirque Invitational. I'll be sharing those plays Friday night, 7 o'clock, VSiN, the Vegas Sports Information Network, talking about the Cirque Invitational. But I'm also honed in, as you know, the Golden Nugget. 2 weeks to go, man. So I'm trying to leapfrog the top dog, but at the same time, I keep looking over my shoulder, 160 other competitors trying to leapfrog me.
And there's a lot of pressure because you not only have to win the game, but like you said, you have to beat another player. So the competition is stiff out here. These are the best in the world sitting here coming to Las Vegas. People fly here just to join these contests and get proxies. So you have everyone that has an opinion out here is involved in this, and Scott's opinion is one of the best. It isn't a fluke. This isn't the first time that he's among the leaderboards in contests out here handicapping college football pro football and the like. Anyway, this is Chip Chirimbes, Scott Pritchard saying we hope you enjoyed this. This was our college edition of Vegas Winner's Circle, and we'll be back on Monday with more for college championship bowl action. Chip Chirimbes, Scott Pritchard saying, there's an old adage, bet with your head, not over it. Stay under control, stay disciplined, and be an A play winner. Log on, follow the buy links at gamblersworld.net. Good luck, everyone.